important win for United against Brentford. Maybe wasn't pretty, but they got the result that they needed. Back on track now for top four. Everton unbeaten in 4 now under Sean Dyche. They're maybe not scoring a lot of goals, but he seems like he's getting the most out of the group that he has at the moment. Presuming they're going to go to Old Trafford and try and be really hard to beat. How do you see it going?
Yeah, again, I'd see how you've just suggested there. Hard to beat. He has done exceptionally well since he's gone in there. I think the home games more so, it feels like the Everton performances that the fans want to see. In regards to the togetherness, the tenacious approach, the energy, and that's nothing to say about the previous regime, but I think when you're down there, this is what the fans don't want to be questioning, is the appetite and application to win and play. So yeah, he's definitely brought that. But obviously there was also is an understanding of the kind of player profile he's got. He's asking players to do and playing roles that suit them. You'd probably say Damari Gray is probably the only one that's playing out of position, but in regards to the rest of them, they're performing. And even Damari's performing to a certain extent in regards to him playing as a striker. But I think going to Old Trafford, yeah, you can't have an isolated striker. So the profile of Damari up front and team setup will probably suit their game plan, because yeah, you can't go to United and just think, oh, we're going to score one of the goals and win this game. It's going to be tight, yeah. So I'll say 2-1 United.
Aston Villa at home to Nottingham Forest. Villa from nowhere have got themselves right into the mix for Europe under Unai Emery, stringing the wins together. Ollie Watkins is in the form of his life. Forest, on the other hand, they're just about keeping afloat in this relegation battle, but there's a lot of talk over Steve Cooper's future, and you've got to say their away form is nothing like their home form. So
Villa's home form isn't like their away form. I think they set up in a way to be hard to beat and counter-attack with the pace of Ollie Watkins and the energy of Ramsey and stuff like that. So it suits them at the moment to playing away from home. I think Ollie Watkins is 6 away games in a row, which emphasises that. So yeah, it's not an easy game for either team due to their form on the road and at home, but you would expect Villa to win this. So I'll say 2-0 Aston Villa.
Brentford at home to Newcastle. We've spoken about Newcastle's great form, but they'll get a tough test going to Brentford as well. Brentford losing to United, but only by the odd goal, and we know how competitive, how hard to beat they are, especially on their own pitch.
Yeah, again, this will be an atmosphere that Newcastle will be used to, because it's exciting, it's loud at Brentford. So yeah, it won't be easy for either team. And even though Brentford did lose to United, I don't think that hinders their confidence and their approach to any game. I just think they're enjoying what they're doing. They realise that they're not overachieving, but they're right on the cusp of that in regards to pushing for Europe and being one of the favourites to go down at the start of the season. So I think Thomas Frank sets up his teams to perform again the way best for them. But with Newcastle, you just can't look past Newcastle at the moment. So I'm going to say 2-1 Newcastle.
Got Fulham, West Ham, and a big clash in London. And Fulham, we've mentioned it a couple of times recently, look like they're right in the mix for Europe, but the season is just starting to wobble a little bit now. Alexander Mitrovic's ban being extended to 8 games looks like a real blow for them. But West Ham confidence will be rock bottom after shipping 5 at Newcastle. They started that game quite well, but once the first goal went in, they just collapsed. And David Moyes, as we speak right now, still there, obviously under immense pressure. They need a result here, don't they?
Oh, huge. I think he needs a result. They need a result, obviously, for relegation, but I think he does. I think if this doesn't go well for them, I see him being the next manager. That's probably gets a sack. And it's a tough one because it's so late in the season. You kind of don't know who's around then to make an impact. But yeah, I do see him winning this game though. I just feel Fulham have kind of fell off, and there was no focal point as in Mitrovic. Yeah, it's different setup now for Fulham. And I feel not that like the players or the manager, they've done enough to stay in the league and warrant where they are. So again, it's a different approach to the game for Fulham. So I'm going to say 2-1 West Ham, especially after the heavy defeat. That I think they'll be hard to beat. Knowing David Moyes, he'll make them very hard to beat, especially in the next game.
Leicester and Bournemouth meet in a relegation 6-pointer, no doubt about it. 18th and 19th place, these two teams currently. Brendan Rodgers obviously leaving Leicester a few days ago. Time will tell whether that was a good decision in regards to the relegation battle. He said that he was confident he would have kept them up, but they've decided to roll the dice. Remains to be seen on what happens on the manager front there. But just in terms of this game, Bournemouth are always a difficult opponent to underestimate. They've got some brilliant results this season, but as a Leicester fan, you would be expecting your team to go and win here, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. Leicester at home to Bournemouth, you're looking to get 3 points, regardless of where you are in the league and where they are. But yeah, you've got to believe you can beat Bournemouth in regards to them. You being aware they was going to be down there and fighting for relegation at the start of the season. Leicester didn't expect this, but they are there now. The comments from Brendan Rodgers suggest it probably wasn't a mutual decision. The fact that he's confident he can keep them up means you've only been asked to leave. Do you know what I mean? So that was a kind of a strange one. But yeah, I was actually surprised to see where they was. Like they lost last week, and I was just unaware kind of that they were actually in the relegation zone. So yeah, it's a real fight for them now. This is a huge game. I don't know whether the confidence of Bournemouth after previous results has a bigger impact than just a fresh idea for Leicester. So Leicester's players from the caretaker manager. I don't even know who's taking charge of Leicester at the moment. It hasn't been announced or anything like that, has it? So yeah, it's a sticky one for Leicester. So for that reason, I'm gonna go Bournemouth. I'm gonna go Bournemouth and say 1-0.
Tottenham at home to Brighton, and for a long time we've said that even though Tottenham are hanging on to a top 4 spot, they don't really look like they're playing like a top 4 team. Brighton, on the other hand, just impressive every time. Even in defeat, they seem to impress. And this is their chance, isn't it, to, against a top 4 rival, going away to them. But you wouldn't think that De Zerbi's men will go with any fear. They'll want to take Tottenham down here, won't they?
100%. And I believe they can. And again, I don't think it would surprise many people if Brighton go there and win, like, because they play so well, so exciting. But I also believe this is the style of play that suits Spurs. They can be more compact and hit them on a counter-attack. Brighton do leave a lot of spaces, and Spurs are efficient, especially in front of goal. They don't create many chances, but they execute a lot of their chances created. They can be resilient at times. So I'm going to go Spurs 2-1.
Final 3 o'clock is Wolves versus Chelsea. Wolves still sort of in this mix for this relegation battle. Lopetegui's early sort of results have dipped off a little bit. Chelsea, on the other hand, we've talked about them at length, and obviously you would think, regardless of how Frank's done previously, that would give the fans and the club a bit of a lift, wouldn't you?
That's probably the best decision that the kind of owners have made, Bowley's made, like thinking about players and the fans rather than just thinking of, it's just going to be this easy. Like there's no emotional elements that are involved in owning a club, running a club, or kind of even managing a club. It's kind of like, well, we need to repair relationships, one with the fans, with the players. Who can we get in that the players will buy into straight away and respect, and have to respect, because he's done more than what any of them have done for that club. So yeah, that appointment, if it happens, makes sense to me. Does he have an initial impact on Saturday? It's hard because he'll have to be going in today with one session. But again, they look good against Liverpool. They look good. So yeah, it pains me as it much to say. I'm going to say Chelsea 2-0.
In the 5:30 on Saturday, I see Southampton host Man City. City won't feel like this is a game that they're going to slip up in, but they did lose to Southampton in the League Cup earlier in the season, and sometimes these little things can play on the mind. You know, Southampton, there'll be players on that pitch that did play in that game, and they may have a little bit of extra confidence from it. Do you see any upset here, or do you think it's straightforward?
I don't see an upset. I'd see City the best form they've had this season, the way they're dominating games, not just periods, games. So again, if there's a spell for Southampton and they score, there's going to be a large period where they're just not in control and backs against the walls because City are playing really, really well. So I don't see anything other than a City win. So I'm going to say 3-0.
Just the two games on Sunday. First, we have Leeds versus Crystal Palace, two teams who've recently pulled a little bit away from that relegation battle with big wins. Roy Hodgson nicking a win over Leicester in his first game, and that was a big one. And Leeds under Javi Gracia have done looked much improved. If either of these teams can win this game, that's a big step towards safety, isn't it? And Leeds with the home advantage. How do you see it going?
Whoever wins this game, I don't consider them for relegation. I think there's too many teams down there that have to play each other that aren't playing well. And Leeds was a team I had down that I was concerned about. But at home, yeah, I think you know what you're going to get with Palace. It's just whether Leeds can do more. I'm going to say Leeds. I'm going to go with Leeds. I'm going to say 2-1.
Final game of the weekend, we've talked about it at length. Liverpool, Arsenal can make a case for Liverpool maybe bouncing back, but Arsenal certainly the confident team going into this game.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go on the law of averages and say that is why I wanted Liverpool to lose against Chelsea, because they don't lose 5 in a row and 3 in a week. So that was my kind of theory behind Chelsea hopefully winning that game. But yeah, being at Anfield, grateful it's there. Liverpool are gonna have to score 2 goals to win this game, minimum of 2, because Arsenal score. So I'm gonna go with my heart and say 2-2.